How yate kahasin. Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. From the top of this mountains here in the Rocky Mountains, back home within the four sacred mountains, I greet you. Yate shkedoshitana. Todichini shle. Ahot au shit. Nii Nee bad bashit bad dashit. But on the buses chin, there's a London net dashit chase, listening the net dashit null. Ahot ai the nensle, back at ba hot sanata a nasha. Say it holgate ate. Yes, a hell date. Will they then not go to a state or contract a state? Your trois hot so that they New Mexico, Santa Fe, also known as Fort Two Canyons, and where we were forced to go through this trail here to what place we know as Huilte, and the long walk. I'm one of the descendants, and I wish to remind myself that I come from that history, and also from the history of a treaty that was made by wampum, recognized by international treaty law. And that treaty was made with a wampum belt, and that treaty was the Two Row Wampum Treaty. Here, where I'm back in the four sacred mountains in New Mexico, I want to share that history with my relatives out there across Turtle Island and within these four sacred mountains, that I myself also was ignorant of where the Constitution came from, or my understanding of constitutions and corporate law versus code, statutes, constitutional law of the land versus a treaty. And what I grew up into, and being born in the moon of the calendar year that you might know as the year was around 73, 74 era AD. And in that time era, I was taught about a treaty that was called the Treaty of 1868, made with the Navajo people. I didn't know I was to be called this Navajo, being driven from my homelands here, and take my people being taken to these forts, and being forced to the corporate names that are still in effect today, Navajo Nation Incorporated versus our true allodial title, inherent name, the holy people of this surface. And I say that with this kelche here, these moccasins, that it was told to me by my late grandfather and great-great-grandfathers and grandmothers, yellow hair, while they were making these moccasins, that to know what it is a Twitichini, I was told this story where Twitichini people come from, by sitting with my grandfather and watching him pound the cowhide into this, what would be this sole of my foot, and it would be what is known as a white shell, and this red earth here that covers this moccasin white shell would be the earth that I walk on. And that is how I came to recognize myself as a Twitichini clan, as a Twitichini Dene, born from the white shell woman, with every rising sun, every morning dawn. Throughout the day, I travel this way, walking in a holy way here on Mother Earth, but I chose to leave these teachings and find out beyond these four sacred mountains what this Constitution and what these lifeways that were presented throughout my life. I was forced into Mormon programs and institutions and prisons, and They're right here. There's Santa Fe right here. There's the state prison, federal prisons. You name every type of prison. Some states have over 100 prisons in them. And so I come here today in recognizing in memory also of my grandfathers and my grandparents that led a trail for me called the corn pollen way of life. That is my rule of law. By that way I'm connected to the stars and the constellations, that sun that shines and that moon. Gods of gods, digin. That's how I recognize myself to you today, relatives. And I speak about this Two Row Wampum Treaty that it was made around the 1600s, 1612, 1613 AD era here. When foreigners arrived here on Turtle Island, they met the Iroquois people, Iroquois Confederacy. In particular, it was at this place called Akwesasne, Ganyakihaga, upstate New York, Canada, imaginary borderline and corporate states. At that time of the arrival of these foreigners, the Dutch and the British, the Romans, the English, on and on, Knights of Malta, slaves, pilgrims, they arrived that way. They didn't have a constitution when they arrived here, relatives. This is what I want to focus you on, is that this constitution that you're going to war over, I don't know if you recognize which one you're supporting or which one you're really flying here on your corporate buildings or on your home or burying with your people and our relatives. But it should be very important to you to know about this Two Row Wampum Treaty. There were two blue lines made out of quahog shells. There was white on each side and made with 7 tassels beneath what we call the big bear and the little bear. And underneath that constellations is a very powerful power place in our culture as Native people. And we call it up that way we call Digin as Nohokat Digin, the people. We know this place up there where stars are born. Through the Milky Way, the center, the galactic center. And at this place was an agreement made. It was made in a very sacred manner with clan mothers and headsmen. And it's specific wording that you need to know, that it was made with clan mothers and headsmen that carried title, allodial title to this Nahasan, Turtle Island. Before there was ever United States Inc., United States Incorporated of America, there was this treaty made. And they didn't arrive with the Constitution at that time in history. So this is where I'm focusing, is that the one blue line would signify that all Native people here on Turtle Island would always remain under tribal law and custom and usage, meaning under our clan mother ways, our headsman way. Not this term called grandmothers, grandmas, or chiefs. Those came later. Those terminologies came later. Grandmothers, 13 grandmothers, chiefs. You can call Kansas City chiefs, all these type of things. Those words happen in terminology later when incorporations happen. So this treaty, Two Row Wampum Treaty, was specifically made with clan mothers and headsmen, and that's the terminology I'm sharing with you, that you need to know that and make it part of your language and part of your knowledge. And the other blue line would signify that the Dutch, the British, the Romans, the English, all foreigners, Knights of Malta, Knights of Columbus, every race, creed, culture came as slaves and pilgrims, and that they agreed to come under the clan mothers and the headsmen, where they learned the way of the Iroquois and started to form a foundation, what they call a constitution, for the United States, for America, with the capital out of Albany, 13 colonies. To come outside of that 13 colonies was an illegal, invalid, null and void treaty called the Treaty of Canandaigua of 1794, made by Thomas Pickering and it was never ratified by Congress or Senate. So that set up an illegal corporate office called Washington, D.C., with the business number today that I know 4 zeros and a 9. And also Canada, Inc. So that's what you're dealing with today is a corporate office, and I'm going to refer you to look into the international treaty laws of what is recognized as an international treaty law, because I'm telling you that fictitious corporate entity paperwork cannot enter into treaty with we clan mothers, headsmen, the living, as a loyal title of Turtle Island, Nahassan. So I went further into the research after that, and how can I make this Two Row Wampum treaty, and how can I get out of this agreements with the Washington office. So I've been able to do that and accomplish that by going over to Albany, New York, and withdraw from all contracts and agreements, and withdraw the account name and number that they were pinning on me as a child. And I've gone as far as filing federal complaints and counter complaints and claims of court in the real United States in Albany. I'm not a capital letters name. I don't deal with capitalism. I'm not with the capital out of Washington, D.C. I'm not a citizen. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I don't claim any benefits. I don't apply for income tax. I don't ask for any returns from them. I'm not under Rome. I'm not under their jurisdiction. I'm not under the crown. And by knowing this knowledge, I share that knowledge with you relatives out there, that you seek that truth about this Two Row Wampum Treaty and learn where the Constitution has come from and how it's being used against you. There's two constitutions. One says the Constitution for the United States, for America. The other says the Constitution of the United States of America. Which one do you support, and do you even know who you are today anymore? Because we have clans, and the clan supersedes any federal law and state codes and statutes, what they call 28 UCC codes. And remember that all crimes are codified as 27 CFR 72.11, which says that all crimes are commercial. And there are executive orders that state that 13037, that you are human capital with that social security number that belongs to the Social Security Administration out of Baltimore, Maryland. So I stress to my clan mothers and to all the women and to the men, if you plan to bring life sacred onto Turtle Island, to be born free from the system and the government, to restore clan mothers, to restore their authority and headsmen. We need these midwives, we need these children to be delivered back in these longhouses, back home with their relatives and their clan mothers. Thank you, my relatives. Blessings to all your fireplaces. Thank you for all your prayers and all your support and encouragement. Thank you, Luke Fitch, my friend here out of Santa Fe. Thank you for your pictures in the wind. Again, thank you. Aho.